WideNet Gaming into the top 5 worst games of 2020 that I reviewed. These aren't the worst games that came out in 2020, just the worst of the 18 in total that I reviewed. I'm not including impressions or other videos that I did on the side just looking at multiplayer. I had to at least have a review of the base game, which means that I beat it on at least normal difficulty, checked out all the gameplay modes, like if it has multiplayer or co-op. I played it across all types, indie to AAA, across the Xbox One, PC, and some Switch games thrown in there as well. So, without further ado, let's start with number 5. Children of Morta is an indie game. It came out a while ago, but released on Game Pass in early 2020, which is when I played it. The story is excellent. It follows the Bergson family in this apocalyptic event. Problem is the gameplay and the game design. Each of the family members functions as a different type of class. Like you have your close range, fast character with daggers. You have the bow and arrow girl. And they have abilities that you unlock as you progress through the game that are kind of relevant, sort of, to their class. Issue with the gameplay is it is extremely repetitive. You're not only doing the same thing over and over, there's not much variety in enemies. You have to repeatedly go through it in a sort of roguelike kind of a thing to level up your character, and you're only leveling up one character at a time. Now, if you're playing with somebody else, then the progression is double, along with really making better use of the two classes. And then you don't have these issues, then I would take it off this list. But for most, since it is only local play, you're going to be playing by yourself, so I don't recommend it. Maybe not more surprised that's not higher up on the list compared to some of the other games that I have on here. The saving grace with Minecraft Dungeons, though, is there is a specific audience that's going to like this game and who I would recommend it to. The problem, though, in general, is it is just too basic and too simple, and you get bored of the game before you even complete the main campaign, even though there is DLC now that has been released past 2020. That's the overall thing. Like the items, the equipment that you have, you just have upgraded versions of that when you get farther into the game. And the combat with the AI is very basic, and traversing through the levels isn't a whole lot of fun. But for kids, it's great. They usually play online with friends, and you have that here, even if you don't have public matchmaking. And just parents with kids, too. You can play this locally as well as online if you happen to have the capability for that, or even just people that are new to the genre. That's not like, in that Diablo kind of RPG type of genre. This is a good starting game before getting into the heavier ones. Best part about Cold War Black Ops is the campaign. I liked the different types of missions that you had. It's not just shooting. You have these spy missions where you're sneaking around, and then the spy puzzles, which you can optionally do. Really mixes it up. I like it better even than Modern Warfare's. But usual problems of the dumb AI, the set pieces, going from one point to the other artificially. Competitive multiplayer, I like the larger maps and the vehicles at first, but then you realize how weak the vehicles and disposable they are, so they don't have as much of an impact, and then you have the usual problems of like enemies spawning behind you. Zombies, I think, is the worst of any of the modes. It's fun at first just to see the new map and the combat initially, but it's gone in the wrong direction really for years, and this goes several years back, and this is kind of just where it's at. I'll be doing a separate video on this. But that being said, it's an excellent rental through Gamefly because you're sick of it quickly. You can mail it back, and then you're not out $60. Of course, this is going to be here, things that were promised, updates and features, and then the technical issues with the multiplayer, along with the lack of improvements and changes even to playing the campaign, which I played through in the cutscenes. That's why this is one of the worst. It's a very old game at this point. They could have done all kinds of quality of life improvements or additions. But instead, as I played through the campaign, the only thing I noticed, and I played the campaign, the original, quite a bit, including the Frozen Throne, was the graphics are better. And it's cheaper. So the only group this is going to be for is people that have not played the game before, or they're only looking for a graphical improvement and some nostalgia. But this really needed a lot of improvements, and it's kind of shows the lack of progress or even like accountability of a lot of these games. Like you're just suspicious that they're not going to release. Blizzard's been in hot water too. They had the whole Diablo thing too. So my biggest disappointment of 2020, though, is Rock of Ages 3. I played the first two games, loved them. I love the concept, the game design of a boulder going down a track where you have obstacles that the opposing enemy with their own boulder going down their own track is putting up while you're putting up your own obstacles. That's great. And the humor of it, the Monty Python-esque stuff going on, that's still here. The problem is just something with development, cutting corners. Your boulder gets stuck and it just sits there. The hand doesn't bring it back. I didn't have this in past two games, or even just getting stuck in the side of the wall. There was a lot of greed or cutting corners. And keep in mind, I reviewed this game well after release, well past a month, and all of these things still were issues. Apart from that, I still had fun playing through the campaign. It is still the same gameplay, just you have those problems. So one good thing is the level editor that they added with this does in fact work and is streamlined pretty well. How it works is you put down all of the obstacles, or how you design the course, that it does the same thing on the opposite side, and then you have to test it out by having your boulder run through it. However, when you actually upload these online, most of them don't upload, so you have just the straight shot maps only. And then the other problem is joining up with people. You can't. I had it one time with like one other person, then I wasn't able to join up with anyone else. And then along with that, I can't even have the player built maps, so no point there. I played Rock of Ages 2 multiplayer, no problem. That did in fact work, and this one doesn't. This is a month after release, so I'd really recommend this if you're playing the campaign and then sending it back. If you are looking to pick any of these games up, please check out the links below for Xbox Game Pass or Gamefly. I don't know why you would, except for Gamefly. You can play it a bit and send it back, and then you're not out the money. So, but as always, like, subscribe if you really like the video, and I will see you next time.